morning, students. In my last class, by mistake, I took another chapter. That is chapter 1, which you have already done. Anyway, that was a revision. Some students even wrote the question answers for them. Thank you very much. Today, we are going to start a new topic. And the topic is metals and non-metals. Generally, in your day-to-day life, you come across metals. Of course, you come across non-metals also. How do you find which one is metal and which one is non-metal? And what is the benefit of finding which one is metal and which one is non-metal? In this chapter, we will study in detail metals and non-metals and their properties, their behavior, their uses in our daily life. You know, metals came in our life quite late. Remember a little bit if you have studied some Copper Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age civilization. Well, some 2000, 3000 years ago. But nowadays, people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. So metal is there if you are born. What is metal? People were using it, but they were not able to define it till the 19th century. I'll give you a little background of it. They were using metals. So before 19th century, if you ask anyone what is metal, they will say metals are hard, metal got luster, metals are of high density, they are conductors, blah blah blah. But what is a metal? In 19th century, in later 19th or 20th century, early 20th century, people tried to find out when they studied the materials and chemistry as a branch of science was developed separately. Then people started studying more and more about chemical properties of materials around them. And then came the idea of metals and non-metals and all that. You know, material around us are made up of elements. Elements can be metal, can be non-metal. So, all materials are made up of elements. Materials can be compounds, mixtures, anything. That all small things you have studied. So, I'll give you a little background before we start. So, material around us are made up of elements. Elements are made up of atoms. You might have studied about Dalton's theory, or if not studied, don't worry, you will study in 9th standard. Now, atoms are made up of electrons, protons and neutrons. Atoms are made up of electrons, protons and neutrons. This is what we call modern atomic theory. And protons and neutrons are none of our business because they live in the nucleus of an atom. These are all big science theories you will study in 9th standard our job is electrons. Electrons are the particles present in atom which can move around, which can move inside or outside of the atom. So, atom can either gain electrons or lose electrons. This much should be your background. Now, let us summarize what I said in my presentation there. Just look at that and I will summarize it fast. Materials around us are made up of elements. Fine. Elements are made up of atoms. Good. Atoms are made up of electrons, protons and neutrons. Protons and neutrons are none of our business now today. So we will leave it. We'll go. Electrons can move in and out of atoms. These are some of the principles of atomic theory. Now, back. Once we have this much of background, then we can properly define metals. And what they call metals? Metals are electropositive elements. Repeat. Metals are electropositive elements. So there are two things in that. Metals are elements. Number two, metals are electropositive. Now, what do you mean by this electropositive word? You know, I said electrons can move in and out of atom. So, electropositive elements are those elements which can lose electrons. Means electrons can run away from their atoms and they become positive, the atoms become positive ions or they become positively charged. For example, when sodium loses one electron, it becomes sodium ion. When copper loses two electrons, it becomes copper ion. Why it loses, how it loses, none of your business. That all in 9th standard. For our class, only definition of metals will be that metals are electropositive elements. Clear? Metals are electropositive elements. Back to my slides. Just see. Electropositive, now you can understand what is electropositive. Electropositive means atoms can lose electrons and become positive ions. Two examples I gave of electropositive elements. One was sodium, other was copper. Now, back. Can you call sodium and copper a metal? Yes or no? According to our definition, we can call sodium and copper metal because both of them are electropositive elements. Clear? Keep it in mind, this word will help you. Whenever we define elements, generally in layman's term, they call it when we define metals, in layman's term we call metals are hard, they got high density and these and that. But technical definition of metals is, metals are electropositive elements. Good? Now, where we get those metals? Where do these metals occur? Back to my presentation and see. There, metals are found on Earth's crust. Where they come from to the earth crust, that is big science. None of your business to know from where metals came in earth. But when we dig up, we can find it out on the earth. Right? Now, metals are found in free state or combined state. Back. Now, what does this free state and combined state mean? Free state means you go to a place, dig up, you will get metal. More or less, throw away mud and all that, clean it with simple water, you will get pure metal, almost. That is free state. You might have heard about gold rush or people going and finding gold in the river. Yeah, that is the free state. So some metals are found in free state, natural state. This type of metals are called noble metals or inert metals or inactive metals, whatever name you give. They are called noble metals, inert metals, inactive metals. They are found in free state. Can you think of more example? One I gave, gold. Other, platinum, to a certain extent, silver. So generally these three, gold, silver, platinum. These are noble metals. Why they are noble? Because they are found in free state, they are very less reactive. That's why, all the jewelries you make up of gold. Why? It doesn't react with your body. So good. Most of the metals are found in combined state. What do you mean by combined state? That we will discuss later. So, back to the presentation and just see, metals are found on the earth's crust. Metals are found in free state or combined state. Metals are found in free state or native state also are called noble metals. Noble metals are platinum, gold, silver. Okay? And these are found as an element, pure, almost pure. Okay? So, we studied about pure metals or noble metals or inactive metals. They are found in free state. Now, metals are also found in combined state. Combined state means what? They are not found as an element. In fact, they are found as a compound. Just see my presentation and see what are the points we get out of it. Metals are found in combined state, that is as compounds. Metals in the combined state are called minerals. Clear? So in the combined state, you can't call it metal. For example, suppose aluminium. Aluminium you get it from bauxite. Bauxite is a mineral. You dig it out in the earth, you will get bauxite, not aluminium. Bauxite is a compound of aluminium, and from there you have to take it out, clear out, clean that compound and get the element aluminium, that metal. Anyway, so minerals are the combined metals in the combined states are called minerals. Minerals from which metals can be extracted profitably and conveniently are called ores. Now here we need some discussion. For example, I got a mineral called cryolite. and I know that I can get aluminium from it. But the processing and getting aluminium from that is so costly, so complicated, that it cannot be its ore. It is a mineral. You know, Napoleon was presented with aluminium spoon. You will be surprised. And he was very happy. Can you believe? Today's the top emperor is presented with aluminium spoon. He will throw it on the face of the people. Once upon a time, aluminium was much more costly, even costlier than gold. Why? Because the process of taking out aluminium was so complicated, so difficult, and that's why it was very costly. Once people found out bauxite and they found out methods to take out aluminium from it profitably, then aluminium, is a very cheap metal. You can see aluminium all around you. Well, aluminium foils and all that, wires, lot many uses you can see aluminium. Can you guess what its color like? It looks like? Find out. So, back to the definition. Minerals from which metals can be extracted profitably and conveniently are called ores. So, where we get metals from? Either we get it in the natural native free state, or we get it in combined state. In combined state, where we get it from? We get it from ores. So ore of aluminium is bauxite. Now you find out what in your little quiz work. What is the ore of iron? Iron is also metal, no? Find out. Anyway, there is one very famous line in chemistry. And that line is, I have written it in red. And remember it throughout your life. All ores are minerals. But all minerals are not ores. Keep it in mind. All ores are minerals. But all minerals are not ores. So where you get metals from? In combined state, we get it from their ores. Well, that is how we get metals from. Now, why people are crazy about metals? Because of its beautiful properties. Of course, the most stupid metal is gold, which has very limited use, but it is very costly. Anyway, there are some properties of metals that make them important and useful in our life. In today's class, we will deal with physical properties of metals. Only physical properties. Chemical properties we will discuss next class. Now, look at my slide and see. I have tried to put the properties in order. Back. Number 1. Metals are solids at room temperature. Generally, room temperature means whatever temperature is around you. Of course, in Delhi nowadays, 25 to 30, 31, 32 degrees Celsius. So at that room temperature, metals are generally solid. You know, there is very interesting thing about chemistry. About chemistry, there is a very interesting thing. And that interesting thing is except. That very famous word. And all your chemistry teachers, they will say a definition and then they will say a property and then they will say except. That is the tragedy with chemistry. Anyway, enjoy that. So, metals are solid at room temperature except, think, except one metal which is liquid at room temperature. Can anyone guess? Well, those who can guess, pat your back. Those who cannot, I'll tell. Mercury is metal and it is liquid at room temperature. Nowadays, so I don't think they are using mercury thermometers. But when I was child and those days thermometers were used, in order to play with that little stupid mercury, we used to break that thermometer and that small shiny ball used to roll around and we used to play with that. Nowadays mercury is not good to touch, not good to play with, it's dangerous for our health. That's why people have now, they have removed mercury thermometers. Now you got digital thermometers. Anyway, so first property of metal, metals are solid at room temperature except. Second property, metals are hard and strong except. Metals are hard and strong except. Except there is one metal, we call it sodium. You know, it is so soft as butter. You can cut it with knife. But very dangerous metal. Very dangerous. You will come to know why it is dangerous when we will study chemical properties. Then, metals have luster. Luster means a typical shine. Mama wearing ornament, you can find out which metal she is wearing, whether she is wearing platinum or gold or silver. Why? Because of its color. Whenever left to themselves, they shine with their specific color. For example, gold is blue, is it? No, gold is yellow. Silver is black, is it? No, it is white. Anyway, so metals have luster, a typical shine. Another very important property of metal is that they are malleable. Means these metals can be beaten up to make very thin sheet. How much thin? Can you imagine? How thin? Then remember the work, or what they call it, barak, on your gulab jamun and burfis, that shiny silver. I think you might have eaten it. This is what? Silver is beaten so thin, even thinner than the paper. So that is the property of metal. And of course, aluminum foil is a very common thing for you people. You wrap your tiffin, mama wraps tiffin. Aluminum foil, it can be beaten into thin sheets. That property we call it malleability. Another important thing, another important property is metals are ductile. Ductile means they can be drawn into wire. Some special saris of mamas, they are pretty costly, 50,000, 20,000. Why? Either the full sari or the border is woven with gold embroidery. So they can be made into wire, thin wire. That is ductility, their property. And from 10 gram gold you can make 1 kilometer long wire. Isn't it crazy? Anyway, so another property of metals is that they are ductile. Then, metals have high density, except, guess? Yeah, of course, except the sodium, potassium. They are not dense. Even sodium floats on water, lighter than water. So that except metals, generally they have high density, except sodium, potassium. Another thing, metals have conductivity. They are good conductors, not buswala conductors. They are good conductors of heat and electricity. That's why you get copper wires, aluminum wires on the wire. So, metals are good conductors. They are conductors of heat also, they are conductors of electricity also. One more. Metals are sonorous. Sonorous means a typical metal gives a typical sound. Means when you bang copper, it will give you typical sound. If you bang copper with wooden hammer, it will give you sound A. If you bang with the same hammer gold, it will give you sound B. If you bang with the same hammer silver, it will give you sound C. So every metal produces a characteristic sound. That's why metals are called sonorous. So how many properties of metals? Physical properties of metals you know. Your job will be to find out much more, as many you can find. Got it? Clear? Now, so my today's class, quick recap. Number 1, materials. Number 2, metals. Number 3, noble metals. Number 4, combined state. Number 5, physical properties. All together, today we studied about metals, and don't forget to recall that word, electropositive elements. So quick recap, metals are electropositive elements. They are found in the earth's crust. How they came, why they came, none of our business. We can find them and use them. Metals are found in a free state or in combined state. In free state, those metals are found, they are called noble metals. In combined state, metals are found as minerals. Minerals are the chemicals or compounds in which metals are there. But the minerals from which we can extract the metal conveniently and profitably, these are called ores. So in combined state, we get metals from their ores. Metals have physical properties. They are solid, except they are hard and strong, except they are malleable, they are ductile, they have high density, except